their clients for poor power factor, there's a form of penalty system in place. These devices that generate harmonics are power electronics. It's not about, being compliant to the law. It's about cleaning up the power and reducing costs. Hi, I'm Eric from Alpha Power Solutions, and today I want to talk to you about Harmonics and how they can increase your electricity bills. So Harmonics can result in higher electricity bills through a number of ways. The first one is that, as you can imagine, the harmonic currents and the harmonic voltage present in a distribution system, they contribute to the fundamental or the 50 hertz voltage and current that is actually being drawn from the grid by an electric installation. If you add a harmonic component to the total load, then obviously there will be increased transmission losses in the supply transformers, in the cables, distribution cables within the system, motors, etc. So that additional power draw results in additional losses that end up being charged for. The second aspect, how they can increase your electricity bill, is a worsening of the power factor. So the harmonics will actually create a further shift between the voltage and the current waves. So that results in higher apparent power usage. That means a higher maximum demand charges, and where the municipalities or the utility charge for reactive power consumption, that will also go up. And finally, in some countries, not in South Africa yet, but in some countries, the utilities also charge their clients for poor power factor. There's a form of penalty system in place. A third aspect where can cost you significantly if you leave excessive harmonics unchecked is that it results in the overloading of the equipment. So your transformers can get overloaded, capacitors can get overloaded, motors. So because they have to work harder, they run hotter, and they will fail sooner than initially intended. So it results in premature failures, breakdowns, and then obviously production losses associated with those breakdowns. There is another factor that could have a negative impact on the electricity costs is the fact that the harmonics can interfere with the metering devices, especially the older type machines that are not really designed to be able to differentiate between harmonic current and fundamental current. So these older meters will typically exaggerate the amount of power consumed, and as a result, the bill is actually excessively high. So these are the main contributors to increased electricity costs that are possible due to elevated harmonic levels. We typically encounter elevated harmonic levels in specific industries where there are lots of non-linear loads. So basically where the electrical equipment draws current in a distorted and non-sinusoidal manner. So typically these devices that generate harmonics are power electronics, variable speed drives, rectifiers, induction heaters, large power supplies, some of the welding machines available in the market, and UPSs. There's many more, but these are typically the ones that are the main contributor of elevated harmonic levels. And so these devices I just listed are typically encountered in manufacturing industries, data centers, hospitals, commercial buildings, railway lines, airports, large electric vehicle charging stations, oil and gas plants, basically lots of industries where typically sophisticated equipment is used to improve the efficiency of the systems that they require in order to operate. But as a byproduct, it results in elevated harmonics if the equipment installed is not properly protected. There are laws in certain countries and in certain continents about the amount of harmonics a particular device is allowed to emit. These regulations are not enforced in South Africa and in other countries because the metering equipment to be able to detect these excessive harmonic levels are not that cheap, and the utilities, it's a massive investment for the utilities to roll out these sophisticated meters that can measure harmonics and possibly identify unacceptable levels of current and voltage harmonics. Yeah, so it will be a while before we will get fined in South Africa. But it is the right thing to do. It's not about, being compliant to the law. It's about cleaning up the power and reducing costs. So it's not something that should just be ignored simply because there's no fine system in place. The first step is to actually carry out a proper audit of the whole installation with specialized test equipment. It's not a complicated exercise, it's actually quite simple to identify the sources of the harmonics being generated in a particular site. If you have the right equipment, it shows the problem straight away. There is some systems that you have to apply, to identify the core contributors or the core problems that need addressing. So you basically, you will see that of all your devices that generate harmonics, only a few are really, really the main contributors, and these are the only ones that you need to tackle. So you can't just have one size fit all device that will solve your problems. You need to do a proper audit, find the key problems and fix those problems. There is no such thing as a blanket solution. Usually the cheapest option is just to focus on the biggest contributors of harmonic levels, and by taking care of them, the whole site actually sorts itself out as far as elevated harmonics is concerned. It's not necessary to filter out all the harmonics. A little bit of harmonics, is not detrimental. There's even recommendations and directives as to what is considered to be acceptable levels for individual harmonics as well as the total harmonic distortion. It's clear guidelines. Some clever people have been sitting out, working out, what is acceptable, what's not acceptable. They figured it all out and published. There's standards available on the internet that you can access that will tell you what is acceptable and what's not. So it's not super complicated. But yeah, bringing those harmonic levels down it can be a critical activity that a site must get involved with, because we have seen sites where it's just a huge problem, and people are at a loss as to why they have so many problems with electrical and electronic equipment. It's something that cannot be ignored in. There are some unscrupulous people out there that blame the failure of their equipment or their electronic equipment that they've sold to clients. They try to weasel out of a warranty by claiming that the failure is not covered by warranty because of elevated harmonics. They come up with these statements without having any factual proof that this is the case. Just like people blame the utility or Eskom for equipment failures without there being any proof of such a. When these accusations happen, obviously the first thing that needs to happen is that the end user needs to really do an investigation to see if it's truly the case that the harmonics are elevated. You can't just make a statement like this and then claim that you won't honor your warranty. You need to have proof of that. What we've seen in the industry is that people will just make that statement and it's a take it or leave it attitude. And it's up to the end user now to prove that he's actually quite innocent and entitled to his warranty. I don't think it's a worldwide, or even a countrywide problem. It's something that we have seen quite regularly in South Africa. Well, thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. There'll be a blog link in the description below.